Hello, hello. I'm Alexa. This is my real life, and welcome. I was so excited today. I went out and I harvested my first things from my little garden plot. It's not much, it's just a little handful of, I can't really do it too well, a little handful of sugar peas. And they're one of my favorite veggies, sugar peas or snap peas, either. Um, they smell so good. It's not many, but I've been watching them and I'm like, I am going to harvest some of them. Not all of them are as plump and juicy. Like this one is super plump and juicy. You can see the peas inside. Some of them are still flatter and need a little more time to grow, but I wanted to make sure I got some before the animals find them because they are just delicious. Um, and I really haven't done much at my garden. We've had so much rain, so it's in the news everywhere. There's so much rain throughout the Midwest, the Dakotas, Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota. There's so much rain and there's so much flooding, especially in the corners of Minnesota, South Dakota, Nebraska, and Iowa. And it's just devastating. And then that's the Missouri River. And on the opposite side of Iowa and Minnesota is north of it. The Mississippi goes down that side, and I live close to the Mississippi. I went down. Might have been Tuesday night. I went a few, about not a week ago. I didn't go last weekend. I think it was either Monday or Tuesday night. I went down just to sort of see where it was at, and I could already see we have a little marina, and across from the marina is some land. It's not an island because the marina is like on a little inlet, but you can see the trees were like a foot underwater at the bottom because that island is lower than the other side where I was standing. And then there was a historic flood in this area, like in the 60s, maybe the 70s, not 100% sure. I want to say it was in the 60s. And after that, at some point, they built a dike along the river that is higher than that flood level, that historic flood level. And they have they have markers along it so you can see. So I've been going down there. I went down there to look to see how high it was against the marker, knowing that I think it was meant to crest Thursday night, but we've had more rain, and it's not necessarily cresting from our rain, but everything coming down from north of us that all feeds into the various rivers and tributaries that go into the Mississippi and on the other side of the Missouri River. Iowa and Minnesota, the Missouri River goes down the west side. It's not just the rain from here that's going into it that's raising it. In fact, it's the rain upstream, 100, 200, 500, 1,000 miles upstream. I don't know how far upstream it can go from here, but miles. So I went down there today. This is actually, it covers like your hands. It's got a little hood. It's meant to be SPF 50. I don't know how long the SPF actually works, but it's very lightweight. It lets the air through. So on a hot, humid day, it still protects you from the sun though. So I went down there this evening. It's several feet. I think it's several feet. It's hard to tell the distance, the actual rise from where I was on the top of the dike looking down, but it's definitely like almost up to where it sort of starts on they have these little like lighthouses, I think they're meant to be, and the marker is on that, so it's actually touching the bottom of that building. I don't live necessarily in a place that if it were to flood over there, which it really shouldn't, it's got many feet more to go. The engineering was done intentionally so that it would be higher than where that historic flood stage was. I was just thinking today, in my last video, I mentioned that Kane's eye has been doing better. I waited 2 weeks after it got better to mention anything. I was like, I want to wait and see. Maybe it might come back. Literally mention it. And Friday, he started, that was yesterday, Friday, he started holding his eye closed again and pawing at it. And I was like, oh no, not this again. So I gave him an allergy pill because it was also raining, so it could have just been allergies. When it rains, all of the dust and debris in the upper atmosphere gets pulled down by the rain. So that's why a lot of times my allergies play up when it rains. A lot of people's do. So he's having his allergy pills again. I started his eye drops. I looked today and I cannot tell if he has an actual ulcer or if it's so tiny I might not have seen it. It could still have just been like a scar healing or something because there's cloudiness there as well, which will clear. It's sort of like the bruise, but it takes a little longer to heal up. So I'll have to look at his eye again in the sunlight tomorrow. If it's worse, then I'm for sure calling the vet on Monday. But if it's not worse, if it's the same or better, I'll look again on Monday and then call to see. There's got to be something. If this is an ulcer, come back. There's got to be something. I think an eyelash is growing on the inside of his eyelid, and I was annoyed because I could see this imperfection, and I was like, he's so good. He let me do it. I was using my fingernail and very gently trying to get it out, and I think I did, like little over 3 weeks ago now, and then his eye healed. And I think I can see it's just come back. So that's why I really need to be able to look at it in the sunlight in a specific location in my apartment where I know it'll end up letting me see it properly. So we'll do that tomorrow morning. And it's very frustrating for me for him because he doesn't understand. There's no way for me to fully explain to him this is what's happening and this is why it hurts and we can fix it, but you got to work with me. I like to watch these animals that use buttons to communicate. I have buttons, and I don't think Maverick has figured out that he can press one when I'm not asking him to press it, and it'll tell me what he wants to say, but he'll press them at least if I sort of ask him to. Kane, I think he knows what they mean. He just refuses to press them. He's like, I don't want to. He's such a punk sometimes like that. I think that what the key message is from these other individuals who have animals that use these buttons and cats specifically is that they understand a lot more than we give them credit for. And so whether my cats are using the buttons or not, I use the buttons, and then I don't have a huge number of buttons. So whenever I have other words that I want them to really learn, so medicine became a word that we use quite a bit. Owie, I've been using the word owie every time I'm like, Kane, eye, owie, and I'll be like pointing to his eye, or if I stub my toe or something, I'll be like, oh, mommy toe, owie. And like, I think he's actually comprehending some of what I'm saying to him, because today I said to him, okay, medicine for Kane owie first, then treats. And I had the treats. And he just was so calm. I explained a few times, I let him sniff. He let me give him his medicine and he swallowed it right away. And he's not done that before. So I really, really hope that he has my intentional approach to using very small, short words, the way I would with a 1 or a 2-year-old human, pointing, I, owie, like giving him a visual to understand. It does seem to be helping with him, but that's exciting, I'm so sad he's having to go through this and to not be able to really understand what's happening. why that's happening to him from my perspective. Like, I don't know what it is. That's very frustrating. But then I go back to thinking about the rivers and the flooding, and I've been looking at all of the flooding in uh, I haven't heard of any in Nebraska, but it's definitely South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa has reported it. Um, I'm imagining there's got to be Nebraska flooding as well, but it's not the most populated area of Nebraska in that top corner, northeast. It puts into perspective the challenges that we have in our daily life, that, when that's all that we have going on, they can become frustrating. And when we're tired or overwhelmed, or just, this thing has been going on for months with Kane. This will be his third ulcer, if it's a new one, and in 4 months. That's frustrating. Like, what's going on, right? But it is something that we will just face and we will get through. And I am grateful that I have the means to take him to my vet. My vet is great. You hear some horror stories, and every time I do, I'm so grateful that I was able to find my vet. I'll just take it one step at a time, and we'll do what I can. My vet will do what he can for my cat too, and we'll go from there. And looking at these, there was this one lake in South Dakota, and I was just reading the stories and watching the videos on it, and they diverted floodwaters or waters from one area, I believe, in order to save an interstate, a bridge, something. Um, it's a critical throughway to go from, like, I think Minnesota into South Dakota, but I might be a bit wrong on the specific. Anyway, they diverted this water into this lake, and instead of everyone who was talking about it, from the governor down, telling people, like, this is almost certainly going to flood terribly, that lake can't handle it, but we have to divert this flood water from this other place. You need to get your stuff, you need to get out, you need to do it now. Don't wait till the water starts rising. It rises too fast. This water, I mean, it has washed out where these houses are, the roads. Some of the houses have completely collapsed into these sort of new sinkholes that became little inlets from the lake. Looking at some of the flooding in Iowa, hearing about it from coworkers who have family and friends in the area, the stuff on Facebook, just on news stories, it does remind you that in a day you could lose everything. There's businesses that people have built up for 10, 20 years that 4 foot of water flooded them out and basically destroyed everything in there. And their homes, their schools, their local, even the worst thing further is the community resources that have been helping in disasters. They're suffering too. They've been flooded out too, and it just puts everything else into perspective to remember. I do know, in a way, what it is like to lose your entire life. And when I moved from England to America as a teenager, I moved with basically a suitcase or two of things. I lost all of my friends, my life, everything I knew, all the places I knew. I lost everything. And it's not the same situation, but it's the same thing of losing everything. And my heart just goes out to the people who have been affected by these floods, other natural disasters such as wildfires and earthquakes and mudslides. And it definitely makes me pause when I'm talking about something like Kane and his, the stuff that I have to kind of go through to help him. We are very lucky, my cats and we know it, we appreciate it, and I have come so far, and am so thankful for how far I have come. So that's what I got for you tonight. If you haven't seen any of the news coverage of the floods, just Google it. It's astonishing, the devastation that's occurring. So, and it's not in a small area. 29 out of 99 Iowa counties have had disaster proclamations issued because of flooding. That is just shy of 1/3 of Iowa is under disaster proclamation, and that could change. There could be more. We're still getting rain. We had rain all day yesterday. It's really astonishing. So, giving ourselves that little grace, being kind to ourselves. Other people's problems don't minimize what we go through, but it's always good to have a perspective of, yeah, this stuff sucks, and this is the good stuff in my life, and sort of have both things, and to keep that realistic look. So it's a skill. I work on it constantly. That's all we can do, right? That's all we can do, is to keep trying and keep learning and keep growing and keep working. So I hope your Saturday was as fun as mine, or as exciting as mine with picking. It sounds silly, but this was really, truly exciting to get these. I ate one right off the plant, and it was delicious. But I'm gonna save these and have them with a nice meal. So I will see you on the next one. As always, be kind to yourself.